All right, hi, my name is Lauren Mesa. I'm an Olympian from the 2000 Olympic Games in the sport of judo, and I'm really excited to have Kristin, Diane, and Frances with me to discuss the female point of view from the kata side of things. Could you guys just provide a brief introduction to who you are and your accomplishments on and off the mat, starting with Kristin?
Hi, Kristin El Idrissi. I was doing judo as a little kid, and as an adult, got back into it. I was on the Shiai team for about 10 years, and then got into kata and have made the Pan Am team for kata 3 times. I don't
Frances?
know who.
Go ahead, Frances.
No, you go ahead, Diane.
Okay. Hi, I'm Diane Jackson. I've been doing judo since I was about 7, so a few years. I'm a rokudan now, which is 6th-degree black belt. I started out doing Shiai. My dad was my first instructor, and I was an elite player way back in the day for a short amount of time. But then switched to kata. I've been on the U.S. team for the Pan American Championships and the IJF World Championships. I've been on the world team, I'd say 9 times for various katas. And now I'm an IJF level judge for kata in all 5 of the competed katas at the world level.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Hey, I'm Frances Glaze. I started judo at the age of 19. 19. I learned how to fall. Then when I moved to Toledo, I became involved in judo and started competing in 1972 in kata. And that was the only area of competition that women could compete in. I am an old athlete. Before judo, I competed in golf, and I was on the women's golf team at the Ohio State University. I competed in kata in 1972 for many years, and I was on the first time competing in the World Masters when it was first held, in the first IJF championships, and at all of the first ones. At those points in time, I was already very much a senior citizen. So I appreciate everyone's youth and look forward to the future of strong people taking over.
Well, Frances, I bet you have some stories to share. I'm pumped about that. I almost want to start with you with that first question about like, what do you believe the level of importance is in documenting the history of women in the sport of judo? And also, you know, as you elaborate on that concerning the history of women in kata as well, because I feel like kata gets overshadowed by shiai and, you know, I was guilty of that when I was a competitor, but I have a newfound appreciation for especially reading like Rusty's book recently. Um, what level of importance is there, and what do
Well,
you
I
see as
think it's
missing?
all very, very important to document what has happened in the past, but I also think it's important to move forward and use the basis of people like Rusty. But Rusty was not the only woman around doing first things. She happened to be maybe the most prominent and the one who talked the most. But there are many women that were around at the same time she was.
Yeah,
And
give some
those,
shout outs, Francis.
well, one is Elizabeth Lee. She was the first coach of any women's team that went international, and she was a kata person.
Cool.
Um, Actually, kata competition started in the United States through Fukuda Sensei, and that all went around the world. And because of how kata has been treated in the United States, we're now at the back end and at the lower end and catching up to the rest of the countries in the world, especially Europe. But, as I said, it's just very important to move forward from there and build.
Awesome. Good points. Diane or Kristen, do you want to share?
Sure, I'll jump in there next. I would say documenting history is critical. I was fortunate enough growing up seeing female referees. You know, Gail Spaden and Faye Allen were in this area, and I just thought it was the natural thing to do. So if you don't see people doing, the higher levels, then you know you could do it. You could be like Frances and be that trailblazer. Um, but then it's great to give back because and keep that history going so that other people say, oh, well, of course I can do that and I can do more. And so we keep building on each other. Chris, you want to add?
I would love to add. So my mom had done judo when I was growing up. She would tell me stories about her time in it, and I think that by hearing these stories about what went on before us, it allows for us to have a sense of empowerment and a sense of pride in what we're doing. I know for me coming into Kata, it's been really nice because there are so many women that are the judges and the coaches, and they're like the powerhouses of Kata in the US. So it's this like wonderful environment to be around when you can constantly be pulling this knowledge base from almost all women. And it's a very different feeling than a typical judo class or clinic, and it's lovely.
Yeah, and you guys have all competed and like you've been in all of these different realms. And so for you to say that, I think is should be empowering for some individuals because there's so many pockets, right? Like you can be a coach, you can be a referee. And the kata side of things, I think it's really important for young ladies to have role models like yourselves to look up to in the same way that they do through the Shiai. Um, Moving on, I like what Frances said about not kind of dwelling on the past, but just using it as a learning framework and then moving forward. So the question doesn't necessarily say it necessarily not it's not dwelling on it, but as far as disparities you saw that your generation encountered as females versus the positive changes you've seen over the years, what contrast do you see from then to now?
Me,
Sure. Well,
Frances?
all of you.
Okay. Um,
The biggest change is Frances.
well, the biggest changes as women could do Shiai. When I in 1976, when I no longer had a kata partner, I wanted to compete in Shiai, and it was one of the first years that women could compete in Shiai at the national championships. It was only my second Shiai. I lost one match to the winner, and I was third place. But when I came back to my home dojo, my sensei wouldn't speak to me because he didn't think women should do Shiai. It was women shouldn't do those things. But we eventually got back together. That's the biggest difference. Women were always not good enough. And kata, of course, was just for women and not really judo in the United States.
Oh, that's
So,
a stark contrast between now, obviously. And I think that like the younger generation has to open their eyes and have the appreciation for trailblazers like yourself. So bravo. Thank you. Diane?
Um, I would say I was right at the cusp, and I was very fortunate to be oblivious. And just, it's a no brainer, it's a normal thing. Like, I'm one of six kids. There's three boys and there's three girls in our class, in our family. And I'm fortunate. My father was our sensei, and he believed that everybody needs to get A's in math and science and English, and everybody does the dishes, and everybody goes to judo, and everybody shovels snow. So it was just a natural progression to say, yes, of course I'm going to do just as good as everybody else out there. And the expectation was set for that, not differently for men and women. I remember growing up and I had the Joshi stripe in my belt, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But when it converted and we and they just said a black belt to black belt. That was a really great moment for me to say, yes, there isn't, it's not a female referee or a male referee. You're just a referee. You're a judoka. You are not one or the other. No, you're defined because you go out there and you look at the beautiful sport that we play and you look for that perfection.
Where are you, Diane?
I'm setting up for the Kata Tamai Memorial right now.
Okay, I just wondered.
And so yeah, I'm in the hospitality room.
Okay.
Well, thanks for taking your time to do this. I appreciate it. Kristin, because we kind of were in the same generation, right? I think that we had a couple things where the men kind of felt like they were overshadowing us, but for the most part, it wasn't what Frances went through.
No, in no way was it. And I was like Diane, my dad was my sensei, so it was a much easier oblivious route as a child. The one thing I would say that's a bit unresolved now, as an owner of a club, is finding a way to keep girls and women in judo longer. I know when you hit teenagehood, a lot of times females drop out. I did. I know when you have a child, it's easy to disappear. I have found that Kata has helped me continue on the mat. Stopped Shiai. Don't want to cut weight anymore after that first kid, but Kata gave me an avenue to stay competitive and stay learning and stay interested in being on the mat. So I do think that there still exists a disparity between men and women, and may always exist in women leaving the judo mat and the judo world.
Yeah, that's interesting. I interviewed a girl that's from a younger generation named Skylar Cummings, and she said it's basically the bodies, right? Like the access to more females and creating that empowerment. And I'll jump around to a different question. How do you guys feel like we maintain that though? Like in the kata realm, for example, I feel like that would be um kind of like a good plan, as far as introducing more females to the kata side of things, because that can lead into coaching and other things. So do you feel like that's one avenue? Like how can we retain women in the sport?
I think one of the biggest things, since there are two clubs in this area that are run by my family, and it's important to see females up at the top of the line, to bow in, and to just be that example, to say, well, of course you're going to go and do judo, and then reach out to them. How are you doing? Well, let's do this. Well, and really just make those connections so they don't feel, isolated or different. And it's offering those girls, I would say, when they're getting into their tweens and teens, that avenue of doing something else, if to stay in judo, but in a different, a different way to use their energy. So kata would be a good one to help them bridge that gap and keep them in.
What do you think, Frances?
Well, I agree with Diane. It's just difficult, as you all know. Life interferes with progression, and not everybody likes to fight. And there are so few kata instructors, qualified kata instructors, to make it fun for people. Learning kata for most with their instructors is a chore. And I think we need to grow our instructors to make it fun instead of a chore.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I kind of want to take classes from you guys now. Will anybody offer me a Zoom kata course? Honestly, no, I have a lot of students who, and I think that that's what I want to push home. And then usually I ask questions about the disparities and if there's been any sexual abuse, but it's kind of beating a dead horse because that's just part of society in general. I really want to get a feel of what the kata culture is like, because everybody, again, is so focused on Shiai. And Kristin touched upon some of it, but like really kind of like paint a story for me about what you feel the culture is like for you guys as females and just as judokas, period.
Well, as a judoka, kata is we're one big family. We we work together and try to progress together, and we all help each other out through coaching and opinions. Um, it's just we're just all really trying to get ahead.
Together.
Exactly.
So I totally agree with Frances. I'm fortunate to have Frances as one of my friends and mentors, and also Dr. Kuniko Takeuchi, who's in California. She is the only former Kodokan instructor that is here in the United States, and
she's current Kodokan instructor, isn't she?
No, she doesn't teach there now, but I mean,
okay.
Once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. You're part of that.
Okay.
And so it doesn't it bridges generations. Because kata allows you to continue your learning and the mechanics behind judo, which makes it so beautiful, to say, where is the tipping point? What is the exact timing? And it's the community that helps keep you progressing as a person, and then bringing other people up. And then it's just, your peers are your teachers at the same time, and you learn together. And that's the kind of community that kata has.
Yeah, Lauren, it's like incredibly mutual welfare and benefit. I remember the first kata tournament I went to, after everyone competed, like the people you're competing against are coming up to you and telling you how great they think you've improved since the last time. And the judges are giving you feedback to help you get better before your next event. And then you're waiting around and eating donuts together because you don't have to cut weight. And everybody is then willing to spend time and say, hey, I noticed like your kazushi might be off, or your movement, or have you considered drilling this way? And you're not drilling knee walking all the time. You're putting music on with a friend, and you're doing mat work, and you're pushing each other to, that's not right, let's try again, that's not right, let's try again, the same way you would drill uchikomi. Like, hey bud, let's not be lazy today, let's pull it together and bend your knees more. And
did that culture slap you in the face, Kristin, a little bit? Because coming from the competitive side of things, where it just feels like everybody's, I don't know, you eyeballing you and giving you the side.
I think it was a nice, like, oh, this isn't like, we don't have to be mean in judo, but you can still be competitive. You can still be like, I better do better than them this time, right? Like you still have your goal of who you want to beat. But then when you're watching them, you're like, oh, that was really nice. Like, oh, like they're really getting better. So
so is there any politics on the side of it though? Because everybody talks about judo politics. It's all kind of, I mean,
there's always politics.
Okay. All right.
But it's only amongst certain people, and then most of the time it's all family. Most of the time, all family, and we're all pulling and pushing forward together.
So it's minimal compared to the competitive, like, Shiai side of things. It's much more minimal. Would you say that at least?
No.
I love their own.
I would say it's easier to figure out because the community is smaller. So you find your way through it faster than the world. That's all.
Cool. Wow. I'm happy that you guys are kind of elaborating on this, because I used to always go to competitions, just look over and watch and observe, and it was really beautiful to see. It was almost like watching a ballet or something. But obviously with the judo aggression included, but I was always so curious about it, but it always felt so segregated. And I think it would be a really cool thing for somebody to take the lead to make it become a little bit more integrated with the Shiai. How that would happen, I don't know. But so my last question, what did judo provide to you in regards to your sense of empowerment?
Wow. Frances, do you want to start?
No, you start.
Okay. Judo has given me the largest sense of self and humility and power and empowerment than any other single thing in my life. In judo, you learn at any moment you can win and you can lose, and you learn there's always somebody there for you and always somebody against you. So you figure out life through judo, but you get those really tight bonds that make life really rich and wonderful.
Yes, it's I was pretty much an adult when I started judo and had a lot of my empowerment. Growing up in the 60s and 70s, well, growing up in the 60s, I always have had a strong sense of empowerment, but judo has provided me with a lifetime of family and friends.
Beautiful.
I don't know how anyone ever speaks after Diane.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, she is who she is.
Huh.
Kristin, you go.
You go.
Me go. Yeah, no problem. I think in addition to that perfectly worded advertisement for judo empowerment, I also have found that it's made me realize that I'm always stronger than I think, right? When life is gonna knock you down, like there's always strength there from a much deeper place. You can always get back up. You can always keep working. You can always find your way through. Like there is strength no matter how hard life is hitting you. And that is something that judo builds up inside of you.
Yeah. And you guys all seem really close.
Yes, very good.
You guys
That's
all seem really close, though. There's like that common theme, but you guys are actually making me really want to try kata. I'm not placating to the situation. I really, Kristen's like, yeah, let's go. Um, because as you get older, you kind of realize, right, that sense of empowerment that it gives you, makes all the other stuff, the ego stuff kind of fizzle away. And it sounds like you, to some degree, although Frances did say that there's always the politics, the ego is taken away a little bit more from the kata realm of things than it is. Frances is like, maybe. And I will say, like, I've known Kristin since we were teenagers, and I have memories just hanging out with her still lodged in my mind. And those are just beautiful things to look back on in your life, because I'm a firm believer, when we take our last breath, we don't take any of the things that we have with us. We take all of these memories and things that we use to better ourselves as human beings. And it sounds like the Kata group is where it's at. I want to promote you guys. So where can everybody be reached, whether it's just at your home club or whatever? So if there's any females out there who say, this sounds awesome, I would love to be part of the Kata teams. How can they find you guys?
Well, Diane is chair of USA Kata. And, she is our leader at this point, which I think is just a wonderful thing. And, through USJF, I'm reachable, or anywhere, I too, like Diane, am an IJF judge in all 5 kata. But, we are available to come and teach.
Yeah, Lauren, and I'm on, on Instagram, I'm like Judo Chops 85, or you can look up my last name. And if people ping me, I can also get them in touch with Frances and Diane, because they have helped me immensely. So,
I think they should include you guys as part of the, like, when they have the finals at some of the bigger tournaments. Because I do remember them doing that in the past, where they would have almost like a presentation of kata prior to the finals of the Shiai starting. But I really think that integration is important, because you guys, your culture, the lightheartedness of everyone is awesome. I really, really appreciate how, like, well bonded you all are. So maybe I'll come up and see you, Kristin, and you can teach me some kata.
Okay. So Kristin, she's in Philadelphia. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. and I'm on Facebook. So if you look, you got to look me up as Diane Tamai Jackson, because Diane Jackson's too common. So I use my maiden name as my middle name now, so people can find me. And that's an easy way to message me. And then Frances is in the Ohio area. So, if you attach to any of us, like Kristin said, then you can get into the community, because we all know each other, and we talk, and we laugh, and we try and make each other better.
Cool. Well, I'm going to be in DC in July, so maybe I'll reach out to you.
That'd be awesome.
And then maybe Kristin can, I don't know. I'll be at High Noon Judo Club around like July 12th, I think.
Okay.
So I don't know what she has, but it's like right prior to US Open. But if I see you guys at US Open, I'd love to meet you in person.
I'd like to meet you too. That'd be
Yes,
awesome.
me too.
Yay! And I have new friends. Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. It's a weekend, so I will let you go, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
See
good night,
y'all.
guys.
Thank you.